आल्यानंतर काढू.
हमारे फोटो
लोग सर Thank you, sir.
I don't know how many of you remember that I used to be, none of you will remember because I don't see any bald and grey-haired men amongst you lot. But it was a time that I was reading the news. It was 40 years ago. And I was reading the news when it was read and not shouted as it is today. Following the act with those girls have performed before you is very, very difficult because they were really charming and they spoke from the heart and it was wonderful listening to them. But there are certain facts that I would like to share with all of you. 70% of Indian mothers consider menstruation dirty. Only 48% girls are aware of menstruation prior to puberty. Only 55% girls believe that periods are normal. 88% of menstruating women in India use homegrown alternatives such as old fabric, rags, sand, ash, wood shavings, newspapers, dried leaves, hay and plastic. And among those who used cloth, 60% changed it only once a day. Akshay Kumar, I'm sure you can hear me, I don't need a mic. Akshay Kumar and Balki have made this taboo subject so much in discussion with all of us and it's brought awareness to all of us. And I would like to start my first question to Balki as to what made him, inspired him to make a film like this.
The film actually started when Twinkle once met Mr. Arunachalam Muruganandam in some London conference. She came back and she told Akshay that we should make a movie on this. So Akshay called me and I met both of them. For me it was like, I've known about Arunachalam Muruganandam. For me, I was always very scared to make a film on anybody's life. Forget what he did, because I was scared that whether I'd be able to do justice to his life. But what really kind of amazed me was, of course, his story, which I knew about. More importantly, it's the first film, mainstream commercial cinema that could tackle a subject that nowhere in the world has been tackled in cinema. So that really kind of fascinated me because we began this journey 2 years ago. And okay, I told Akshay, let me think about it, let me write it. Because, and this was beginning of the journey. Twinkle then wrote a short story of his life. I was writing a script. So when we finished the thing, we had two versions, both were written simultaneously. We had two different adaptations of his life. It's a strange thing of one man's life having two different adaptations because both of us didn't know what we were writing. And this journey started, and really this happened when I first met Arunachalam Muruganandam. I was convinced I wanted to make a film on this man only after I met him, because the very first meeting, he told me something absolutely amazing. I went to his workshop in Coimbatore, and there he was, working with his machines. He was dirty, this full of grease and everything. He had his khaki pants, white shirt. He used to sign blank checkbooks, okay, blank checks and leave it in the corner. And I looked at him and I said, and all his suppliers used to come, fill whatever amount they want, they take it and go. Okay, nobody would, there was no accountant, no bills, no nothing. So I asked him, I just looked at him there. He said, why are you surprised? What will they take? There's no money in the bank. Whatever there is, that's all they can take. Why waste money on accountant? Billing, accountant, bill book, all this thing. This is all money I have. He's a man, besides doing something, besides caring for women, besides caring for women's health, this is the man who is a businessman who became famous by not making money. You know, in business, you see a lot of social workers, you see a lot of, revolutionaries, of course changing, doing great things where money doesn't come into the picture. But here is an actual businessman who said his business model was all about not making money. Because if he made money, he wouldn't have a business. So try thinking of one man in the world who actually thinks of a business and to become famous in a business, not making money. That is amazing.
Some of you may be wondering who the other people sitting in front of you are, so may I please introduce them to you. Anuja Gulati, who is the state coordinator for UNFPA in Maharashtra, involved in promoting adolescent reproductive and sexual health. The short of the anagram is ARSH. And on my left is Dr. Rishma Pai, who has been the president of FOGSI, which is FOGSI, Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Society of India. Balki needs no introduction. We all know him now as Chini Kam Pa and various something, and Sharda's already mentioned Ki or Ka, and now Padman. Let me tell you that before that, he still is, I think. Are you still the head of Low Lintas? Or have you retired from that? He was the head of one of the largest advertising companies, and his slogans, which everybody remembers, are things like Daag Acha Hai for Surf Excel, Jagore for Tata Tea, and Walk When You Talk, the little pug with the idea cellular. So Balki is a friend of everybody's now after having made Padman. And we have, of course, Dr. Sharda, you know, is the director of Population First. And we have Shoaib Ali, who is the director, marketing and brand acquisition, who has promoted movies like Mary Kom, Ram Leela, Welcome Back, and Gabbar, among others. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Rupa Naik is from the World Trade Center, and it's courtesy her that we all happen to be here, I suppose. And she promotes, she's the project head, she's the director of Project Heads over here. I would like to ask what Arsh does exactly, and how have you been able to be successful in it?
In fact, very good. I'm actually surprised by the number of people in the country who are so concerned and who are doing a lot of things. For example, the place where we shot, that is Madhya Pradesh, is one of the leading states in kind of taking a lot of very major steps towards women's menstrual hygiene. And we have been speaking to a lot of ministries. Yesterday, Maneka Gandhi had a screening for the Women and Child Development Ministry, and a lot of doctors, a lot of judges, a lot of women social activists were already there, and they spoke. You know, they're so concerned about. It's not so much as what they are trying to do. It is how difficult the task is. And the task is, like Muruganandam always, I think he's the leading visionary in terms of ideas for everybody. All the government people should just consult with him. Because all he says is, see, it is not money, it's not funds. It's, I can make 50 times more machines. I can actually go to villages, I can give people a lot more employment. It is people don't even know why they have to use a pad. See, unless they know a need for this, what is the point in making it? See, affordability is, yes, it's an important issue. It has to be made affordable. First is awareness. Only if awareness is there, will they even think whether it's affordable or not. So this whole thing, like, I'll give you another example that I spoke to P&G. A lot of sanitary pad companies obviously wanted to tie up with a film like Padman, all the multinationals. I told them one very simple thing. I said, we would tie up with anybody and free of cost, no commercials discussed. As long as you can give a pad for 2 rupees. Match Muruga's price and I'll tie up with you. None of them could do it. Because I feel that if you really want to kind of take treat it as a business. Don't be philanthropic. Treat it as a business. Expand your business. For expanding your business, should you be sampling it? For 1 year, if you give people at 2 rupees a pad, let them understand the necessity for pad. Go educate them. Do that. Because no bigger market. for anything except sanitary pads. Not only in India, in a lot of parts of the world. So even as business sense, it makes sense. It makes a lot of business sense because there's so many people waiting to get converted for something very, very good. And Maneka Gandhi told me another thing yesterday. He said, you know what, there is a lot of thing about these pads. We are doing a lot of things. She wanted to tie up with people like Muruganandam to kind of take it forward. Another issue is disposal of sanitary pads. So people throw it into the lakes, rivers and everything, which is very bad. It's like very bad ecological management of issues. So they've developed, there are entrepreneurs like Muruganandam who've developed incinerators for about say 9,000 rupees, a whole village. It's a pad incinerator. You know, you don't have to throw it in your fire because women have various issues of throwing it into the fire in which they're cooking their food. So various villages just contribute for 9,000 rupees lifelong without any power, without anything. They can just incinerate the pads. So there are, like women toilets, there are pad incinerators being established in every village. I think the government is thinking a lot of steps ahead. I think it has always been an effort, but the task is so huge, and it's going to take time. But the more people who do it, the faster. So that's why when you make a film, what it simply does is, film is a very powerful medium in this country, and a commercial mainstream film which is not only seen in festivals and by few critics and all this stuff. When you have Akshay Kumar playing a thing, right? It just wakes up. So many people have the license to talk about it. I always believe no conversation is taboo. You know, I just believe that people are willing to listen to you. They're only shy to talk about it. They're waiting for somebody else to talk so that they can talk immediately. A film is just that. It just gives a license to people to join in the conversation.
Does that make your film exempt from entertainment tax?
No, we don't want to be exempt from entertainment tax. We're not in that business. In fact, I just believe if we can do everything to bring a price down, please do it. Don't give us any entertainment tax. Because I believe, first of all, it makes very little sense because
because then it would be available to a lot more people to see it, because otherwise, you know, films are so expensive these days.
No, actually, you know what makes it difficult for people to see films is the lack of theatres. Not so much this thing. In a lot of areas where this is very relevant, there are no theatres, you know, for people to see it. In a lot of small towns, you will see theatres in Bombay and Pune and everything in places like that. But what another idea is for a lot of foundations, and I think Ladli also can do it. Wherever you're going, we are willing to give you free DVDs of the film after a couple of weeks. You can screen it to a lot of villages. They can enjoy an Akshay Kumar film, absolutely free of cost, and take this ahead. So we're also tying with the government, saying this is not all the commercial enterprise. Of course, a film is important for commerce and everything. That's done. That will be done in the cities and everything. But after that, the value of the film is a lot more than just commerce.
Then exempting it from GST is not that problem.
This GST is just a much bandied word. Actually, if there was a calculation, simple thing, and Muruganandam also learnt about this GST. Actually, GST is very helpful for a lot of manufacturers of low-cost pads. It doesn't apply to them. You know, so actually their pads are cheaper thanks to GST, and it's taxed. For multinationals are taxed. Okay, but it's not that their prices are going to come down without GST. Those are the pads. So I think this GST has to be really understood. If you see some tables which finance people have kind of put it forward, it makes a lot of sense to have it there for the pads. So it's fancy to say that, hey, let's reduce the price, cut GST. I really think we need to understand before talking about GST. But yes, one thing has to be done. We have to reduce the cost of manufacturing of these pads. That's very different from GST.
You're going to face some kind of opposition from the corporates, but I hope not.
Not at all. Actually, no. The corporates are very supportive. See, all they want to do is help and try and further the cause of menstrual hygiene. But I always tell them, the corporates, I mean, in fact, they've all been my clients at some point in time or the other. So I don't think the corporates are an issue at all. Corporates are trying to help, but they have a structure, they have a cost structure, they have a business to kind of run. They are successful in what they're doing. There are enough people who can afford what they're trying to do. But they're not necessarily the solution for the problem that we have.
So we've got the government on our side, we've got the corporates on our side, and we've got a great success for Padman and all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm
sir. How can you take it in written? We need it for the photographs and I gave it to everybody.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you. Thank you.
Subscribe to Movie Talkies and click on the bell icon for latest updates.